The answer is a role-playing game tells you you can role-play. I mean, joking aside, yeah, because I'm a silly goofball, I think there is something to gain from identifying the true aspects of what a role-playing game can be can be classified as in like what makes a role-playing game a role-playing game. And the reason why I say this is if you look at non-RPG games that don't label themselves as RPG games, you'll find that there's a lot of similarities between the two. And like my initial response, a lot of it has to do with just the labeling of it. As an example here, let's take a game like Monopoly. If you look at the functionality of the actual game itself, it's 2d6. Whatever die you roll, you move that many spaces forward, and you're on a brand new location, which where you can buy said location, you can auction for it, and all that kind of stuff. And you have a token to represent what your position is on the map. Now, there are many different tokens available on for that game. There's the little dog, there's the oil derrick, there's the automobile. What if you know what if you made what if we made those tokens actual characters? What if you decided to use those those die rolls and those properties as location marks of where your character as of a tycoon, entrepreneur. What if you place that as the emphasis of the game instead of just the standard mechanics of using math and probability? That changes the concept of it in terms of how people perceive it, because it then becomes a role-playing game. You're playing a role, and you have things that affect how you're going to react. Meanwhile, but the thing is, though, that game doesn't tell you it's a role-playing game. It just has rules that would function. Now, a game like D&D, on the other hand, is mainly a war game that tells you you can role-play. It has parts, bits, and pieces of it that suggest role-playing is possible, but it doesn't give the type of role-playing that most people perceive as uh, logical role-playing. Now, the reason why I say that is if you look on the actual structure of the game, the dice rolls and all that kind of stuff, the fact that a d20 is used for the majority of answers, as in like saving throws, attack rolls, things like that, the d20 is naturally skewed to not really produce high numbers because the percentile chance that you're not really allowed to succeed more often than you'll typically fail. And so if you're trying to do a game about high fantasy, you're not going to get that because your character's going to suck the majority of the time if they aren't built around the war game. If they aren't built around the construct of the war game, the foundation of it. So therefore, even though D&D calls itself a role-playing game, it doesn't really give the role-playing experience unless you're one of those people who likes to fail and role-play out a ridiculous response of you failing, which is another message, but it isn't what the game is trying to promote. So I think it's very important for people to understand that when they identify something as a role-playing game or as not a role-playing game, because a game doesn't tell you that it's a role-playing game doesn't mean you can't do it. And all because a role-playing game tells you it's a role-playing game doesn't mean it actually is. Thanks for your time. I look forward to any comments about how you feel about the subject, and it's really important because a lot of the stuff that people who are role-play gamers, there's a lot of material out there that's just not labeled as an RPG that you'll you'll probably enjoy if you just take the time to actually look at it and appreciate it for what it is, and use it to your will, because knowledge is power and knowing is half the battle. Bye bye.